Marikana in the northwest.
Right to this conversation now, women are critical to shaping safer communities and reducing alcohol harm. Aware.org has launched its hashtag We Are Women campaign, and it places a spotlight on women driving change across education, healthcare, activism and social development. So let's discuss this further with Aware.org CEO Mokebe Tulo. Mokebe, good morning. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday morning. I'd like to start with what gap the hashtag We Are Women campaign hope to fill here, Mokebe, in South Africa's prevention and social change space this Women's Month.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the platform. I think that there's obviously a very huge gap and a discrepancy between what men and what women are able to do in this country or are empowered and enabled to do. We are not trying at all to be divisive. We believe in equality, and fundamentally we believe in alcohol harm reduction. But what we are saying is that the power that women have, the power that every woman has, is not leveraged as much as it could possibly be in order to enable us to continue this fight against harm.
Well, you also emphasize, and I really like this, you are talking about the fact that there's power in every choice. So how does this principle then translate into reducing alcohol-related harm, for instance, on a community level?
So we try to emphasize this notion, which is a true notion, that in fact that there is power in every choice that we make, whether it be big choices, whether it be small choices. So the word every is the big power play, excuse any puns, in that it's every woman has that power, and every choice that she makes, there is power in that choice. Fundamentally, we believe that a lot of the decisions that women make, and if women are empowered and enabled to make certain decisions in certain communities, then communities would be a lot better off, because women are in a position to make a difference if enabled to do so. Women are in a position to be able to pass on, whether it be good messaging, whether it be good parenting, whether it be, for example, the reduction of a fetal alcohol syndrome disorder, which is FASD, whether it be, parents passing on the message of no to underage drinking or don't drink and drive. And what I'm saying, or what we are saying as an organization, is that in every woman lies a lot of power. Sometimes that power is not yet enabled, is not yet emboldened, that matchstick is not lit. But in every woman lies an immense amount of power to make change, to make a difference.
Mokebe, I think in South Africa, we've got this weird relationship with alcohol, right? On the one hand, we're very aware of the implications that it has on community level. You're talking fetal alcohol syndrome, we're talking gender-based violence and even crime that it fuels, according to some statistics that we've seen. On the other hand, it is celebrated in our culture, it is promoted, it plays a big part in our economy, for instance, as well. Culture, media, it is celebrated by celebrities, for instance. How do we tilt that narrative?
How we tilt that narrative is to acknowledge what you've just said, that South Africans generally have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol. The research shows, and this is across many research studies, even in points where they disagree about the percentage, that the majority of South Africans, in fact, don't even consume alcohol. The problem is that the South Africans that do consume alcohol are often hard drinkers. They often consume enough alcohol for everyone else. So the problem is not the consumption of alcohol itself, so to speak. The problem is that people do not do so responsibly. And that is what we are trying to solve for. And how we do that is through creating awareness and educational problems that address this matter and that show people what healthy looks like and what unhealthy looks like. I mean, I am not making I don't need to make the argument for the alcohol industry in terms of the impact that it has on jobs, on the GDP of our country. So it is an important source of income for our economy. But we do need to address the way in which South Africans relate to alcohol. And that is done through campaigns such as education and awareness, etc.
Yeah. These kind of campaigns and alcohol harm reduction is often seen as a health issue, right? We try and tell people about the health aspect of it. Why does Aware.org then link it so strongly to education and activism and social development, for instance?
Because fundamentally, it's not just a health issue. So a lot of studies, again, done by various organizations, including the World Health Organization, claim a lot of things from a health point of view. But what we're saying is that at Aware, we are not health experts, but what we are is that we have knowledge on behavioral change. We know that in order for us to make any sort of mark or any sort of impact on our country as a whole is through teaching people before it becomes a problem. The one thing that we have identified is that often in this country we look at problems after they've developed, but we choose to take a stance of prevention rather than cure. And so if we do this from an early stage when people are young, we teach them about alcohol, including the health implications, but we also teach them how to manage themselves, how to make good decisions, how to say no to peer pressure, how to look at role modeling, but look at the good side of role modeling and take on the positive role modeling. That is where the magic is. And that is where the change comes in. So it's not just about the implications, it's about getting there before we are now dealing with the implications.
Final question, just briefly, if you would, Mokebe, in the interest of time. I'm keen to know, on a personal level, as a woman yourself, how do you see South African women driving change in spaces, for instance, that policymakers often overlook?
You know, I think about this literally every day, and I think that the answer is that we continue to move forward and we continue to mobilize, as we did in years before, as we did when we marched in front of the union buildings and said no more. As we fight for equality in terms of rights, we need to use the voices that we have. We need allies on our side, which are our male counterparts, and we need them to do the work that they need to do in order for us to be able to do the work that we need to do. The only way is to keep moving forward and to keep fighting the good fight, and invariably, little by little, we make our wins, and this has been proven through history.
I really appreciate your time and your insight. Best of luck with the campaign. We hope that it makes a significant difference. That was Aware.org CEO Mokebe Tulo right here on eNCA. It's 28 minutes past 6. As always, I'm not alone on a Sunday morning. I do have with me Nicole Kente. So, still to come in your sports.